Hi! Welcome to Remember Me, Episode 1. I forget exactly what it's called. High-tech, low, something or other. Anyway, so I'm not quite sure about the pace of this game. We've woken up and we're in this casket that we climbed in at the end of the previous episode. We're being washed up by these guys who are reapers or leapers. I'm going with leapers. And they're undoing the caskets and they find that guy there.
Pain is shared now. Things lost now. I knew us. Tears and grins. Lost. Look. I knew us. Pain.
A new us. It's a really kind of good but terrifying view of the future. Or not the future. The problem with this game is, and I hate to talk about problems so early on, but it's trying to be a little bit Tomb Raider and a little bit Bioshock, and it just kind of falls short. The combat's fun, and you'll see here, there's dodge. It's trying to be a bit Batman in its fighting, but again it doesn't quite match up. Eurogamer said in their review that you can see what it's trying to do, but it's failed. And actually, I thought that was a bit trite, but on reflection, it's kind of right. Anyway, the combat system's interesting. You have these combos on the left. I've got X, 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 and you load up these pressings on the right. At the moment, I've only got power pressings. They deal extra damage. Later on, you get health, cooldown, because you get these superpowers, and also chain. And chain basically multiplies the effect of the last one. Also, the position they're in affects the amount of damage they do. So the one right next to there on the left, that slot there will do less damage than if I put a damage in the right. And so you can mix stuff up, and you can see at the bottom it's telling you how much extra damage they do. So this one is doing 125 damage in total for a 3-hit combat. And it's just XXX. And you can mix in jump as well. And you can see the attacks you're doing down there. And I kind of do like the combat system. It's just a bit limited. I don't know, it feels like you could do more with it. And maybe if they make a sequel they'll polish over this stuff. Because it does feel like it's got potential, but it just falls short. Anyway, you start a combo, and if you dodge people in the middle of the combo, you can continue it. And as you'll see, you unlock different combos later, so different button combinations. And as they power up, they start to do kind of ridiculous amounts of damage. It's fun. Anyway, speeding this up, there's just a platform. Edge kicked in, and he's basically saying, you've got to escape. That's a health pack, and I miss most of these all the time, but it's kind of a fun animation. A lot of the touches in this game are really nice. I like the way the text is overlaid. I like the stuff on the back of the head. That's Sen-Sen. I would like the radio if it wasn't so Capcom, I guess is the word. It's a very Capcom game. If you've played other Capcom games, you'll know exactly what to expect here. It's kind of cutscene heavy. It's a bit of a tortured emo story. But it's beautifully realised. But the combat isn't as good as, say, Devil May Cry. It's not as good as Batman. It's fun when you get it going, but it's also a little bit finicky. That may just be me. I always take a while to warm up to these games, and actually I'm playing it through again now for the pickups. And it's a lot smoother. Now I know what I'm doing. And I'm watching some of these early videos back and just cringing at myself, but we'll leave it in. And I cut most of the deaths. Anyway, there's hidden things all around. It's a fairly linear game. For the most part, but just off the beaten track. Again, much like Capcom games, you pretty much go down a very pretty corridor the entire time, and once in a while there's a tiny little distraction to the left or right. There's the first menaced memory. There it is there. I won't look at all of these in this, I might in the pickups, but just to give you an idea of what to expect from that. There we go. A bunch of text. I think that's the only one I read in the end, but I know some people like reading them if they haven't got the game. So I probably will put them in. Anyway, there's a leaper running away in the distance, and we're charging on down here. There's also sap patches. We'll have a look at those in a second. But I mean, overall, it's it's kind of an alright game. I would get it on sale for half price or less. It's definitely not worth full price. It keeps threatening to be quite short too, but actually, it's a good length. But as I mentioned earlier, it's oddly paced. Anyway, we've broken out of the leaper area, and we are in Neo Paris. I think it's called Neo Paris. I guess we always were, but now we're out in the city. I guess the year is 2084 or later, since Sen-Sen was made available in 2084, so around 2100. There's a bit Blade Runner, but it kind of works, and I like the way they've set it in Paris. It's kind of a nice fit, but again, they're trying to, I think it feels a bit like they're trying to go Art Deco Bioshock 1, if you know what I mean. And it is a beautiful city, but unlike Bioshock, it doesn't never feels alive. You can't really explore, you're limited in where you can jump, you're really kept on the path. And this, for example, this is an errorist memory you guys can read. And they hide sat-nav. See that yellow thing in the bottom right there? That's what you're aiming to pick up, and at that point I didn't realise it's actually right there, just next to me. But I overshot it and actually cut about another minute and a half of looking around for it, but there it is there. Sat patches give you an extra health gauge chunk. Exactly what it does. You can also get focus patches or something, and they increase your gauge, which we'll find out about later. The climbing it's trying to be a little bit Assassin's Creed, I guess, with climbing, or again Tomb Raider, and the problem is it just again feels linear. You're just, the next position you need to go to is always highlighted. Now we learn about regen press ends. These you can see here, you got Y and X, and whenever you hit one of those in your combo, if you've got a red one active, it'll do extra damage. If you've got a yellow one, you will get back health. We've also unlocked another combo, which is YX, YX. I hope this isn't too washed out, you can see what's going on. I've cut, I think, quite a lot of this. Yeah, there we go. So I ended up with, on the bottom row, strength damage, strength regen, and then on the top row, strength regen. But you'll see here I'm doing 60 damage with the attack in that position. And when I move it to here, it does 85. So the further down the chain it is, the more powerful the press end is, if that's what they're called, press ends, yeah. Press ends. So the beginning of this fight, it basically took away all my health. So now I've got to do regen combos, and I actually end up doing the small ones for quite some time. And I should have probably been doing the big ones, because they do more damage too. But we'll get there eventually. So you can see how this combo system works. I'm still oblivious to these guys jumping on my back. And if you get them to a corner, you can't leap over them, so it'll break a combo. So you really want to fight them away from the corners. And that's something that took me a while to realise. Yeah, so you're getting hit. So basically when you see that exclamation mark, you dive out of the way. And you will dodge whatever attack is coming. Now what's quite interesting is it doesn't, unlike other games, it won't line up the attacks so you tap it and you'll dodge them all. Quite often two guys will attack slightly staggered, and you might dodge the first one but get hit by the second one. So the timing on the dodges is kind of important, but you can start your dodge at any point during an attack. So your fist can be about to strike them and you can dodge out and then pick up your combo, and that's quite neat. I like the fact that the combat is almost like the background rhythm and the dodging is the active fighting, if that makes sense. You just fall into this pattern of shooting for the combos, and you get into that, and then, but what you're looking for is when to dodge, because you can always just settle back into the combo. And once you find that rhythm, it's actually a really nice game, and it's a slight twist, because you're not thinking about attacking. And it reminds me of Final Fantasy 13 a bit. There's another pickup, and this is as complicated as they get, really. They're usually very close by, so there you can usually see them from that sign. Despite that, it's very easy to overshoot them and trigger a cutscene or go through a door that shuts and you can't get back. This game really prevents you backtracking, so you really need to just, as soon as you're looking for, or explore everywhere as you approach it, because there's often a chance you won't go back. Anyway, I've unlocked a new press, and you can see there on the bottom right that flashing X, or sort of middle right. And I faffed around in here for a long time, and I think I speed it up now, but yeah, there we go. There with that's it, there with the key. So you spend 1 on the top right. Every time you level up, you get another press to unlock. And I ended up rebuilding this combo slightly to add more healing, I think, and made the top one just a pure attack. And then from here, so just trying to find out where that is, and it is just up here. I jump up here and it's on the right or the left or something. On the left, there. So they're never too far away, those sat patches, and as far as I can tell they're always pretty easy, heavily, well, they are signposted by one of those signs, but the signs are sometimes hidden away. So that's kind of an interesting twist. Bit of a climb here. There's also the Menenist, am I saying that right? Books. They are not marked, and there's also these weird scarabs to shoot, and all of it gives experience. There's a lot of collectibles on this game, if that's your thing. Unfortunately, you can't reset them, so I've had to start a new game to go back and find them all in a single playthrough, so the video's smooth. Because you'll see here I spend a lot of time running around like a fool. Anyway, we get to this bit, and we're going to meet a new type of bad guy. I forget exactly what he's called, a streaker or a stripper or a ripper or something.
You've got the wrong girl.
Here we go, and he charges you, so you dodge out of the way, and I've got not much health because I've ignored a couple of sap packs on here. And there's some running around here trying to get away from him. And they're only susceptible to big punches, so you've got to open up with power press ends like that. It's the only way to get them. They also do this attack at the end of a combo, or sometimes during a combo, where they will kind of go into slow motion and you dive out of their way. Oh, they'll do it especially now when they're powered up from these guys, so you've got to kill the little leapers first. There we go, the Skinner, that's what they're called. So you need to kill these dudes, and I think basically I die here. So I've sped this up, he just beats me. So this is the second attempt at it. And where I can, I won't make you watch deaths unless it's a ridiculous amount or there's a comedy death. Because there are some fights where there's an interesting number of enemy types, and some of the fights are quite hard to learn. And the thing is, it's designed to be played not to die, if that makes sense. I guess that's kind of obvious, but later on you get these superpowers you can use, and you have to charge up the gauge that holds them. And you keep that gauge full between fights, so if you can start stringing from fight to fight, you can always enter with a superpower and recharge that gauge really quickly. And often if you make a silly mistake and die, you find yourself in a lot tougher position than you would have been. Anyway, you'll see. So now I think I've killed all his buddies, and he depowers, so now I can get stuck into him. There we go, see. And it's just about hitting him with high power moves here. My health is kind of okay. I can't really afford to get hit, but you can see again, you're going for the hits, but actually you're more concerned about dodging in time, because you can always pick up those attacks. And there's a crane here, I run around like in Egypt for a little while. There we go. And that activates this, which creates a nice climbing platform so we can escape to the next level. Well, not the next level, but the next bit. There's actually quite a lot of this level to go. We're about halfway through. Then this gets cut through, and we have sort of broken out a bit more.
Productive servants of society. The reconversion project by Memorize. Humane responses to
It looks like the lower slums are flooded. But it is... I think the problem again with Capcom games is they craft beautiful rather than real, if that makes sense. Like, it's a very scary, beaten up view of the future. But you never quite believe it. Which may be a good thing, I don't know. Anyway, dropping down here, there is a health thing. I finally noticed one. And then just having a bit of a poke around. So, yeah, no, I've been away for a bit. Those of you who watch my videos, I'll fill you in on these details. Those of you who don't, apologies, you might want to mute this bit. But I went away to catch some sun, because it's been really miserable summer so far in the UK. And then I got back and it was a little bit sunny here, so I've just been out. And that's why I haven't been uploading videos or playing so many games. Because when it's sunny, you should get out and make the most of it. Unless you live somewhere really hot and get it all the time, but in London we don't get a lot of sun. There's another menaced thing. And then it's up the ladder and away here. There's this catwalk thing to activate. There's a dude round here. Hello robot, and a sap patch. There we go. And I think there's one more sap patch that I miss later on at the end. But yeah, no, I went away, and so I'm now... The weather's a bit awful this weekend, so I'm playing again. And I actually played through this on Thursday night. And I've got the swapper as well, and I'll go back to the swapper maybe and make some videos of that and finish the videos for the collectibles of this. So you'll have those. And here's a weird flashback. See how these guys are all stunned. And still, I'm fighting them really badly. Wow. And there's Edge. So yeah, no, I think I mentioned in the previous video, Edge's voice is awful. His voice acting is not good, so I'm just speeding up whenever he talks, because you really don't want to hear it. You walk slowly, and it's just... and you can shimmy across these a bit quicker, and then it's a climb up here. And I'm sure there are menaced things that I'm missing, but I'll again go back and look for all those. And then off to the left, and you can see all the jumping is pretty clearly signposted, even though I miss it a bunch of times, but it never... You can go the wrong way, but it never feels like a puzzle. Okay, I was stupid there. But I don't know, I always think platforming like this needs to be more interesting rather than just following a set sequence, but I don't really know how you would make it more interesting. Like this bit I did 4 or 5 times, although I cut it seamlessly. That's more annoying than anything else, right? Because it's basically just luck which way you go first. I mean, reflex is a part of it, but later on there are ones where there aren't, where it's not. And again here it's, you know, it's pretty, but it's not... I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. I'll stop moaning. Anyway, so we have climbed up here. We're on the top, and we're looking for the Leaking Brain, which is a pub. You can see the sign up there on the left of all this colour. That is it over there. And it's happy hour 24/7, which is nice. And then around here is the last sat-nav. You'll see the little flashy thing for it in a second, and then I don't find where it is and trigger a cutscene, which I think I've mentioned a few times now. Sorry. Anyway, this is the Leaking Brain bar. Leaking Brain bar, and there's the little sign. And I didn't have a very good look for it, but it's just in one of these stalls here. I think I might even run past it over by that robot to the right. I think it's to the right there, but I'll watch it back in slow motion. But I'll go back and have a proper look for that. Anyway, you get up here and there's a bit of a cutscene, and you meet this guy, One-Eye Paul, not him. I don't know what his name is, I can't remember. Or this other guy, One-Eye Paul, I don't know if that's his name either. Tommy, there we go. See, one eye. Anyway, from there he takes you through to the back room, skabloosh, and you get your combat skin, which is basically just jeans and a glove. It's kind of peculiar. And here we see it.
Of him turning you over to Olga Sedova.
And then an assassin turns up, you know, as they do.
Just to catch you.
And then I sped this bit up, but there's basically a fight. Tommy punches her in the back of the head, and then you suck her brains out. Well, you don't suck her brains out, you remix the memory. Now, this is kind of an interesting part of the game. You are Nilin, and you're like an amazing memory hunter, and you can remix memories, which no one else can do, and apparently that's a really big deal. So you go in here, and what you've got to do, you see this scene of Olga trying to change her boyfriend, or maybe husband, I'm not sure, back from a leaper. And this was 3 hours ago. And she's an assassin of some kind who's been sent to kill you by, I guess, Memorize Corporation. It's not really clear at this point. But she goes, "This is for David," which also doesn't make a lot of sense unless you did this to David, which perhaps you did. I don't know, I can't remember. Anyway, you get to watch the memory through the first time.
This is for you, David.
And again, I'm not quite sure how to do these bits because they're quite long. And you probably want to see them play out, but maybe I'll break them out into separate videos. They tend to be the end of the level.
Shared happy memories have an extremely positive impact on patients. The syndrome that your husband suffers from is a classic.
So yeah, he's basically fiddling with this machine, and what it's doing is sending memories from Olga to David to try and repopulate his brain, I guess, and fill his brain with memories. Because I think the Leapers have shared memories, but all they've shared is the pain. And they discard happy memories, and they just live in this weird kind of collective, messed up neurosis world. And that's a really cool idea, that this technology would lead to such disaster. And I think that's what keeps me playing. It's like they've... The story is good, if a little hokey. Well, no, the story isn't good. The world and the idea that it's built around is good. And I'm quite a sucker for an interesting idea, which I think is why I love Bioshock so much. And Borderlands too, because it's just so ridiculous and silly and fun and over the top. and that can be fun too. Anyway, the idea here is that you watch this memory and then you can rewind it once you've sat all the way through it. And you've got to make Olga believe that she's killed, that David is dead. And it obviously, or I assume, it doesn't kill him in real life. I don't see how it could. And then he, well, no, it doesn't. But then she believes that, so she now doesn't want to kill you. And as you'll see, she basically becomes your personal chauffeur that you never really see again. You just occasionally see her ship dropping you at the beginning of a level. Very weird. Anyway, you can see there that I moved the wrist strap, but nothing really happened. So I've wound back to the beginning. I changed the ping machine. No, I changed the switch to send his memories into her, but that ended up killing her. So that wasn't good. So now I've gone all the way back. What I've done is switched out the capsules. So when he gets an injection, he gets a different kind of juice which sends him insane. Red juice instead of blue juice into his veins. I've switched out the ping machine, which just pings. Untied his mask there, so now the red stuff in his veins is kicking off and causing him to have a fit. And then the wrist strap that I undid at the beginning, I'm going to undo now. In a second. Here we go, you'll see the glitch there on his wrist, and then I wind back a little bit. Do I see it? Yeah, I let it ride all the way through and then realise. No, rewinding, there we go. So there is the wrist strap. There, and so when you stop the time there using the stick, I don't know what it would be on the PC, maybe backwards and forwards, or the mouse wheel. The mouse wheel would be quite nice. Anyway, when I am done with that, see now his wrist is free and he's having a fit and he's nearly killing the doctor. Doctor freaks out. Terminate! And the weird thing is, he dies, right? And then these shutters shut. You would think they'd shut the shutters first, then kill him, so the person doesn't see. Anyway, now Olga thinks that David is dead because you are the master memory remixer. And we are through all that now, thankfully. But that is a neat idea, the remixing of memories, and the kind of issues it raises. Anyway, Olga now suddenly is like, oh, what am I doing? You're cool, I don't want to kill you.
Yes.
Doesn't question why she might have a knife in her hand.
Then we share the same enemy.
So,
There's a turnaround.
yeah, it's, I don't know, clumsy. A bit clumsy, and I think that's why it doesn't achieve, and it's a bit clumsy in everything. It's a bit clumsy in the story, it's a bit clumsy in the combat, it's a bit clumsy in the climbing, it's a bit clumsy in the exploration elements,
Must be something in the water.
it's a bit clumsy in the lack of backtracking,
Time I took you in.
it's a bit clumsy in the leveling system.
Quick on your feet.
Yeah, all of the elements are really, really good, but none of them hit
Doesn't
what
make
they
us
need to.
drinking buddies.
Anyway, that is pretty much the end of that. You have a bit of a goodbye scene with Tommy, and then Olga turns up in her kind of cool ship with the skull on the front. I mean, I like it. To fly you off to your next destination. And that's the end of episode 1. On the left, you got episode 0, if you didn't see that, with the robot chase, and on the right, we've got episode 2, where we're going to meet these enforcers for the first time, who can take a proper beating and give it back. I will put link to the collectibles up there on the top left, but I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!